Hey guys, how's it going? This is the Bald Metal Nerd coming at you with a quick, well, not a quick, who am I kidding? Another video. This one's going to be one of the coolest ones I've ever done. Oh, I just kill myself with this humor. Basically, what I'm going to be doing is you're going to see some effects of a CPU cooler that I bought in my main system because some time ago, it was maybe a few months ago, when I rebooted my PC, I noticed there was a thermal alert. And I'm like, well, that's strange. So I checked to see if the fans were clear and all that, and they were. Airflow seemed to be good. I'm like, why is this thing overheating? Did some digging, found out it may just be the stock cooler. Because I have an i7 in this thing, and they run pretty warm from what I understand. So it took me a few months, but I finally got around to ordering this thing. Okay, so it is a Cooler Master Hyper 212 Evo, which of course is a very well-known, in fact it's probably one of the most popular cooling fans for i7. So anyway, before I show off the fan, before I unbox it, I'll show you all the tools I'm going to use to swap this thing out today. It's not going to take too many as far as the way of tools goes. We got a magnetic headed screwdriver. Got my phone to use as a flashlight. And my tablet to look up instructions, how-to videos, all that fun stuff on the internet. So, not many tools because, well, it's a relatively simple procedure. And no, I'm not going to demonstrate how to do this in the video. We're going to be just basically talking about, I will unbox this, but I'm not going to do the install. So, anyway, here, of course, is the actual PC itself right now. And let me go ahead and remove the case as I drop the screw. There we go. Open up the case. And I'll shine some light in there for you guys so you can see the stock Intel cooler that I'm currently using. So, now let me actually reorient the camera, guys. Just give me a second here. It's a little low, I guess. There we go. Perfect height. I'll go ahead and zoom in. And as you can see, that is just the stock Intel cooler. Nothing remotely special about this. It's going to be coming out and getting replaced with that item that I bought. Now, the only really bad part about this, of course, is I need to I have to remove the motherboard to swap the cooler, which is kind of a pain in the butt. But the upside to this, maybe I'll be able to do a cleaner cabling in my system, because my cabling could stand some improvement. Before I get started, I'm just going to spray it out, because why not, right? Just a chance to spray out the dust. So, let's go ahead and I'm going to skip forward to the unboxing. Be back in a second, guys. Alright guys, it's time to go ahead and unbox this thing. I've already taken the liberty of opening the flap here. Let's see what she comes with. Let's open that. As you see, empty box. Let's see what comes in this smaller box here. Looks like we got instructions and a warranty card. Looks like we got some brackets. Looks like we've got some screws and thermal paste. And another bracket. So, I assume because it comes with different styles of brackets, because this is universal for both Intel and AMD. And of course, here is the main fan itself. It looks like it has another bracket right there. And, yep, that's it. We got the good contact points there. Got a really big radiator on top. And we got a big old fan. So, nothing to do now, really, guys. I'll shine some light on this so you can see the detailing just in case you're interested. Not a whole lot to do now, except start the arduous process of removing the motherboard and installing this thing. But through the magic of movie editing, I'm not going to jump right to after I have this thing installed on that. Next couple parts of the video, you're going to see the performance of the stock cooler, both idle and heavy load on it, and I also compare it to my AMD system, which also has a stock cooler. And then lastly, of course, we're going to come back and we're going to see how it performs with the new cooler in it. I'm hoping for a pretty good increase, because right now the performance of the stock cooler is just it's just straight up bad. So anyway, see you guys in a little bit. Guys, I originally intended to record this part of the video with my screen capturing software. Unfortunately, when I max out the CPU at 100%, it interferes with the screen capture software. So, gotta do this the old-fashioned way, pointing the good old camcorder at the wonderful screen. So anyway, right now, as you can see in Task Manager, I have a really low CPU utilization, only about, say, 1%. So real low, no big deal, right? Now, the program I like to use to monitor temperature and everything in the computer, it's called HW Info. This is a 64-bit version. If you're curious as to what's in my computer, the CPU is an i7 4790K, and we got a GTX 970 card. I know, exciting, right, for video. Okay, so we'll go ahead and hit Sensors, and we'll take a look at the current temperature of the CPU, and it's, you know, relatively low. This is where it usually is when the computer's relatively idle, at the 30-some to 40-some degree C range for temp. So right now it's doing pretty easy, and again, keep in mind, guys, this is with the stock cooler. So I'm gonna go ahead and stress out the CPU here. I'm gonna uncheck. I'll leave that one checked. Only one I'm going to uncheck is disk space. I don't need to stress out my hard disk, so I'm going to go ahead and hit it up here. And yeah, we're at about 100% CPU usage now, and you're going to see those temperatures. They've already shot way up into the 90-some C range as far as how hot the CPU seems to be running. And we're not at 100% CPU anymore, but still fairly high. And those temperatures are definitely higher than what I like to see. Alright guys, here I am on my old PC. It's my 5-year-old PC that I built. That's still actually pretty awesome in my opinion in many ways. It's obviously running Windows 7 instead of Windows 10. I just thought it'd be fun to basically test out, see how similar, and I just have the stock AMD cooler on this one. Yeah, I know it's 5 years old and a totally different, you know, processor family than Intel, but I thought it would be fun to, you know, just compare and see what we got. So, if you're curious as to what's in here, I got an AMD Phenom 2 6-core 1090T processor. It's not overclocked, running stock, and I have an ATI Radeon HD 5770 for graphics in this thing. So, there you go. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at the current CPU temperature. It is, where are you, temperature? Where are you, temperatures? It's GPU thermal. That's not really what I'm looking for. Did I hit the right? I guess that's the CPU right there. It doesn't have multiple. Okay, whatever. I found them. Right now it's running at 33C, which is not all that warm, really. So let's, right now, performance-wise, I have 0% CPU usage. So let's go ahead and let's try to, you know, stress this thing out, shall we? Alright, it shot right up to 100% CPU usage. I heard the fan start spinning faster. I don't know if you can hear it on your end or not. Oh, crud. My temperature is increasing. It's not shooting up, though, like on the Intel. I want to see if it levels out at a certain point. Alright guys, I walked away and ate some dinner, and I don't know, I was away from this machine for maybe 20-25 minutes, and as you can see, I'm still doing the stress test on it. CPU use is still at 100%, and the temperature seems to be bouncing only between basically I've seen the readings go up and down a little bit on it. It's going between 61.5C and a little over 62C. So obviously the stock AMD cooler is doing its job. So yeah, on to the next part. Alright guys, I managed to get the motherboard out and remove the old stock cooling fan, but I actually broke a piece of this while I was removing it. That's the fan itself. That's the metal heatsink. Again, this is all just the stock device. This piece broke off when I was removing it because it just would not, these pieces here wouldn't unclamp, so I had to kind of violently pull it out with pliers. Thankfully, I gently used pliers, not violently. Use these bad boys. Did it nice and gentle, and thankfully did not damage the motherboard at all. It was that hole right there that it actually got stuck on, and thankfully nothing got hurt. As you can see, there's still some thermal paste on the some of the old thermal paste on the CPU. Now, best way to get rid of that thermal paste, of course, is using some rubbing alcohol and paper towels. Hence, that's what I'm going to do next. Then I'm going to read the instructions for this thing installing with the Intel on the Intel, and I'll come back, show off what that looks like. So, see you guys in a little bit. Okay guys, obviously I have all of the CPU paste, the old stuff, off of the CPU, and these screws here are part of the bracket that I had to install. Here is a rear view. Because the fan is so heavy, it requires a specialized bracket installed on the back of the motherboard. So, just showing that off just so you can kind of get an idea of what I'm dealing with here. Real big fan and a specialized bracket. So there you go. That's installed. So what I'm going to do now, of course, I'm going to put a little thermal paste on here, install the fan, reassemble the thing, and then I'll probably show it off again. So see you guys in a little bit. Well guys, I had a bit of a disaster when I was doing the install of the fan. As you can see, there's a bunch of thermal paste on this. What happened? I wanted to clear the thermal paste off. Anyway, I popped the thing out. It flipped over and it landed upside down, basically in the socket. Don't ask me how that happened. So obviously the motherboard is pretty much ruined at this point. So I got to go, lucky me, to the Cincinnati area Micro Center and buy this thing. Yep, another motherboard, still in the packaging. Oh, you see my messy basement. Hooray, right? So yeah, I'm not going to really review the motherboard because it's a motherboard. Some people like to overclock and stuff, and they're really into motherboards. As for me, I don't really overclock. I just buy nice components that'll perform well at stock configurations. And yeah, I just care that the motherboard is compatible with all my hardware, and if it is, then I'm happy. So, yay. Yeah, at least I didn't ruin the processor. Processor still good. No blemishes on it, thank goodness, because the processor, expensive. I mean, it was bad enough to have to get a new. Yes, I'm going to clear the paste off of this, obviously. But hey, at least the processor is still usable. Motherboard, unfortunately, not so much. So, after some extended time, I'll be back. See you guys in a bit. Ugh. Alright guys, we're about to have the moment of truth here. I went ahead and, as you can see, I did manage to get the monstrosity of this fan for the device installed in the machine here. Got the motherboard back in. I've got the RAM in. I got everything in the system. So, will it post? I even have a little... see if I can. I even have a little beeper speaker in this thing. So, will it post? That's the question. I always see a little green light there. That means it's getting power. Let's hit the power switch. Moment of truth here. Here we go. Ooh, lights on the motherboard. Ooh, we got one beep. That means all is well in hardware land. So, all that I really got to do now is hook up drives, monitor, you know, the whole 9 yards. And probably reactivate Windows. So yes, Linux people can laugh about that. So... since it's a different motherboard, it'll probably force an activation. Anyway, relieved that the hardware is working, so thankfully I managed to only ruin the motherboard and not the CPU and the motherboard. Hooray! I actually did ruin a CPU on an AMD build a while back, so I bent the pins on that processor. So I've done both now. I've destroyed a processor and a motherboard just on different computers. Go me. Anyway, that's it. See you guys in a little bit. Okay guys, here I have the system finally powered on, booted into Windows, all that. So, what's the aftermath of switching out the motherboard? Well, a few things. One, I do have to activate Windows again. I'll get around to that. Device Manager actually recognizes all of the hardware without me doing anything, which is great. So that's a nice relief. I don't have to hunt down drivers or anything. So anyway, right now CPU usage is low at 4%, and the temperature is not particularly high. So let's go ahead and start stressing this sucker out and see what we get. So come on, fire up for me. There we go. Alright. We're spiking at 100% CPU. Let's see if this cooling fan stuff was worthwhile or not. We're climbing into the 60 C range. Ooh, we're staying in the 50 some C range. 50 some to 60 some C. I'm impressed. Alright guys, I've been running the CPU maxed out for a while now, and as you can see, the temperature's holding pretty steady in the high 50s, low 60s on the for the processor. So I can't say that I'm too disappointed in this. I am really impressed with the performance on this system. It is extremely good. I mean, the cooling. I mean, the CPU's been maxed out for a good while, and we're nowhere near any thermal alerts. So I would say that the cooling fan is definitely worth it. What I'm going to do, guys, is I'm trying to have fun with activating Windows right now, and it's as much fun as it sounds. It's pretty late, so I don't know if I'll finish tonight, but I have a few things I can try. But other than that, this system is working perfectly fine. Anyway, that's it for now. I will see you guys in a little bit and wrap up. Alright guys, here's a pro tip for you. I did do a little research, and apparently you can activate Windows 10 with Windows 7 or Windows 8 license keys. I just used the Windows 7 license key that I had with this copy of Windows 7, and as you can see, where does it say that? Windows is activated. Windows 10, hooray, right? So I jumped through that stupid hoop for Microsoft. Oh, they're happy now. So anyway, I'll be back with the conclusion, and we'll talk about cooling a little bit, and that'll be about it. See you guys in a bit. Alright guys, here we are. It's the next day. Everything is working as it should. Windows, of course, is activated, which you saw in the last part of the video. I put the CPU, or I'm sorry, the computer back in its normal spot. Everything is working as it should at 100% efficiency. Yay! So, and I have stress tested the new cooler a few times since then, and it is working exactly the way it's supposed to. So that's a good thing. Everything is functional, and in the end it did work out. Of course, there was the major fucking disaster of me destroying my motherboard. So basically, my piece of advice for that is, if you guys get a new cooler of any type, do some test fittings without thermal paste. Obviously, with the power, with the machine turned off and unplugged, and see how that works out for you before you, commit to putting thermal paste on it. Make sure you know exactly how to fit the thing properly. Otherwise, what happened to me might happen to you. Let me be a cautionary tale. So, anyway, the other thing that I want to say is just keep an eye on your system temperatures. It's important. You don't want your stuff overheating if you can avoid it. And but overall, yeah, I would definitely recommend this product. It works well. Huge improvement over the absolute garbage stock Intel cooler. It's a shame they don't make stock coolers as well as they used to, but I guess that's just the way the cookie crumbles nowadays. Anyway, I guess that pretty much wraps this whole thing up. My whole Odyssey tale of woe and eventual it working out. Just got to spend a whole bunch of extra money that I really didn't want to on a motherboard. So anyway, if you did like what you see, as always, please thumbs up, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Thanks a whole lot for watching. I'll catch you guys next time.